We will begin the press conference by Minister Kamikawa. Please go ahead, Minister. I have one item at the top. On the 24th, there was a major landslide in the province of Enga of the independent state of Papua New Guinea. My heart wrenches with pain as I think about the huge amount of damage caused and the enormous number of people who are still missing, as well as the deep casualties. I pray for the spirit of those who have lost their life, that they rest in peace, and offer my sympathies to the families left behind. I also pray for the early recovery of those who have been injured and expeditious search and rescue of those who are still missing. Yesterday, I delivered and conveyed a message of sympathy and condolence to the government and people of Papua New Guinea. Japan and Papua New Guinea, as close friends, have always helped each other in times of hardship. We will be providing the necessary assistance towards the earliest possible recovery and reconstruction of the affected area.
Please raise your hand if you have a question. And when called upon, please proceed to the nearest microphone and state your affiliation and name before you ask your question. Kyodo News, please. Nishiyama-san. Kyodo News, Nishiyama. On the North Korean situation, I have a question. Yesterday, at 10:43 last afternoon, launched a projectile with ballistic engines. The launch was a failure. What is your take on this? And will you be consulting between Japan, U.S., and Korea on the telephone? And how do you intend to respond to this going forward? With regard to the launch by North Korea, the objective was to launch satellites. Even if that were the case, it would be in violation with the UN Security Council resolution, and it is a serious issue which affects the safety of citizens. On our part, to North Korea, we have strongly protested and strongly condemned the ballistic missiles and other projectiles, the repeated launch of these and a series of activities by North Korea to our region and to Japan and to the international society threatens peace and security. North Korea launched has announced it will be launching 3 surveillance satellites going forward. So going forward, launch with the objective of launching satellites, there's a possibility that we'll go ahead with it. And ballistic missile launch by North Korea by no means can be condoned. With regard to future response with the United States and with South Korea, we are communicating at the moment. In any case, between Japan and the U.S. and Japan and Korea and the United States, we will closely liaise to respond. Thank you. The next question, please.
Matsuyama-san, Asahi Newspaper, please. I have a question on Japan-U.S. ROK framework. Yesterday, the MOFA announced that on the 1st of June or the 31st of May local time in Washington, D.C. of the United States, the Japan-U.S. ROK Vice Ministers meeting shall be conducted. Vice Minister Okano will participate representing Japan. What is the objective of this meeting and significance? And along with the NATO summit in July, there may be the trilateral summit. There was a press report. How is coordination for the Japan-U.S. ROK summit proceeding? First of all, on May 31st in the United States, the Japan-U.S. ROK Vice Ministers consultation will be held, which will be participated by Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Okano Masataka. At last year's trilateral summit in August, the leaders agreed that the trilateral partnership will proceed through multi-layered consultations, and this is part of that agreement. At this meeting, the vice ministers of the 3 countries will discuss the close partnership and cooperation between the 3 countries on various issues, including response to North Korea and realization of a free and open Indo-Pacific based upon the rule of law. I participated in the Japan-US ROK Foreign Ministers meeting in February this year, and we agreed to accelerate the momentum for tripartite cooperation. And this upcoming meeting is very timely that it is being held in this context. And on the second point regarding Japan-US ROK summit, when the summit was held between the three leaders last year in August, the leaders agreed that the tripartite summit will be held at least once a year. But the details regarding the next meeting, including the dates, are undecided. At any rate, we will strengthen Japan-US ROK partnership at all levels, including vice ministerial level.
Next question, please. Mainichi Shimbun, please. Odanaka Mainichi, concerning Japan, China, and Korea summit, I'd like to ask one question. It's been held after 4.5 years, and a joint declaration was announced in the first part of this, based on rule of law and international law. A commitment to international law has been reconfirmed. And between Japan and China, rule of law is it's very rare that this is heard. And so what is your impression of this reference to rule of law between Japan, China, and Korea? Among deepening of fragmentation and confrontation to promote the rule of law for peace and for international society. And I believe it's a very important issue that we do this. Among such awareness, through faithful compliance with international compliance and international law as G7 presidency, we have put together a message that we would aim for rule of law, and we have issued this message to the world. And I went to Hague this January, and I have made efforts to promote a rule of law to the international community. And at the trilateral summit, the purpose of the UN Charter and commitment to international order based on international law and rule of law, which was confirmed between the three leaders, was significant. It had expanded trilateral works to expand trilateral cooperation and moves to collaboration. I believe it's significant in this respect.
Yomiuri Shimbun, I have a question regarding treated water. On the 26th, there was a meeting between Prime Minister Kishida and Premier Lee Chan, and they discussed treated water. They confirmed mutually beneficial relationship based on common strategic interests, but the Chinese side did not respond to the request to lift a ban on maritime produce. And the Chinese continue to assert their traditional assertion that nuclear contaminated water affects the health of all mankind. And in the experts' consultation between Japan and China, we discovered that the Chinese side is asking for soil investigation around Fukushima Daiichi and monitoring beyond the sea area that is defined by IAEA based upon international standards. It seems that there's no intention on the Chinese side to resolve this issue regarding treated water. What's your opinion of this issue, and how does the Japanese government plan to respond to this issue going forward? In Seoul, the Japan-China summit was held. They appreciated the progress made between the experts and working level after the summit meeting that took place in November last year. And based upon the progress of communications, they agreed to accelerate the process of consultations at the working level towards resolution of the issue. And Prime Minister Kishida again requested the Chinese side to immediately lift the ban on imports of Japanese maritime produce. I understand that there are press reports regarding the Chinese demand for soil investigation and maritime monitoring, but because this is something that there is a counterparty, I will refrain from mentioning any further details regarding the dialogue between the experts. At any rate, based upon the leaders' agreement that have been secured to date, Japan will continue to seek the Chinese side to respond objectively based upon science.
Next question, Igarashi-san, NHK, please. Igarashi, NHK. On the Middle East situation, ICJ has, on the 24th, issued an order on provisional measures to seize attacks on Rafah, and so that large-scale humanitarian assistance can be made, and to open Rafah crossing is what it is, the nature of the measure, and a sincere implementation has been asked for by yourselves to the situation. But what is your take on this situation, please? The Japanese government, with regard to ICJ, the order for provisional measures by ICJ, which is a major judicial entity of the UN, it's something that we feel is legally binding and among the parties, and it should be implemented faithfully. The critical humanitarian situation in Gaza is something that we are seriously concerned about. On the 26th, there has been an air raid on the Rafah refugee camp on the 26th, and many civilians were victimized, according to reports. In particular, women and children were victimized due to battle, and this is something that we cannot tolerate in terms of loss of lives. And in Rafah, where there's a concentration of refugees, a full-scale military operation is something that we're opposed to, and so that the release of hostages would materialize, and so that the humanitarian activities can find an environment which is conducive to the conduct of such activities. We hope that there'll be a ceasefire, and this will feed into a permanent ceasefire, and this is a strong hope. In my phone call with Foreign Minister Katz, I communicated to him about Japan's position, and in addition, including the use of a Rafah crossing, I asked that humanitarian assistance activities are not impeded toward improvement of humanitarian situation. For the early calming down of the situation, we will be making diplomatic efforts tenaciously and positively. Next question, please.
Kamimura-san, Yomiuri Newspaper. Kamimura of Yomiuri Newspaper. On the 26th, there was the gubernatorial election in Shizuoka, and Mr. Suzuki won the election. You have gone there to support the local candidate, nominated by LDP. What's your impression of the result? This press conference is a venue where I respond in my capacity as a foreign minister, but speaking on general terms, elections are the fundamental basis of democracy, and they are very valuable opportunities to listen to the opinions of the people. And foreign policy is inseparable from domestic policy. We will listen to the voices of the people and try to provide foreign policy that is supported by the people, and with speed we will implement such policy.
If there are no further questions, we'd like to conclude the press conference at this point. Thank you very much.